So local authorities in Zanzibar initially said that Ashlee took her own life, but you guys released a statement saying that her death was suspicious. What do you think happened?
He told me that Ashlee did something to herself and that she was being taken to the hospital. I said, what happened when? And he told me it had been 11 hours prior.
To me, that's very odd. And initial call that she got from Joe was 11 hours after something had transpired in the room. And that's very odd. 11 hours later,
11 hours.
Something had transpired, and Joe just relayed to Yolanda that Ashlee was okay and she was stable and she was okay and don't worry about it.
But that she was at the hospital.
Yes. 11 hours later.
Imagine being a father. Imagine watching your daughter get on a plane to one of the most beautiful islands in the world to celebrate her birthday. She's smiling. She's engaged. She is glowing. And then the phone rings. And the world you knew is gone forever. That is the reality Harry Robinson is living right now. And what he has uncovered in his fight to find the truth about his daughter's death is something that should make every single one of us stop and pay attention. Because this story is not just about a young woman who died far from home. This story is about a father who refused to be silenced. A father who got on a plane to Washington, D.C. and demanded that the most powerful government in the world listen to him. And it is a story about what the autopsy of Ashlee Jenae may have finally confirmed about the chilling final hours of her life. Stay with me, because this one is going to shake you to your core. My name is not important right now. What is important is Ashlee Robinson. That is her real name. But to over 130,000 people who followed her across Instagram and social media, she was Ashlee Jenae. She was 31 years old. She was a New Jersey girl with a contagious smile, a love for travel, a gift for storytelling through a camera, and a whole future ahead of her. A future that was ripped away on April 9th, 2026, in a luxury resort villa on the island of Zanzibar, Tanzania, while the man who had just proposed to her was staying in a room 10 minutes away. Think about that. 10 minutes away. Before we get into the autopsy, before we get into the father's fight that shook international diplomacy, before we get into the 11-hour gap that her family says changes everything, we need to understand who Ashlee Jenae was. Because this is not just a headline. This was a person, a daughter, a friend, a woman who on April 5th posted a photo of herself feeding a giraffe with rose petals spelling out the words, HBD Ashlee, on the ground beside her. She captioned that post, Chapter 31, and I'm exactly where I need to be. Those were her last words to the world. 4 days later, she was dead. If that doesn't make you feel something, I don't know what will. Go ahead and drop a comment below right now and tell me you're watching this, because her story deserves to be heard by as many people as possible. Now let's go back to the beginning of what should have been a dream trip. Because understanding the timeline is absolutely critical here, and I want you to pay close attention to every detail. Ashlee and her boyfriend Joe McCann arrived at the Zuri Zanzibar resort on April 4th, 2026. Joe McCann is a 45-year-old Miami-based entrepreneur and the founder of a crypto investment management company called Asymmetric Financial. His website describes him as having more than 25 years of experience on Wall Street and in Silicon Valley. On paper, he sounds impressive. On paper, this looks like a power couple on a dream vacation. On April 5th, Ashlee celebrated her 31st birthday. And then, just days into the trip, something magical happened. During a safari, Joe McCann got down on one knee. He proposed. Ashlee said yes. She posted the moment to her Instagram. She was beaming. She looked like a woman who had everything she ever wanted. And then the argument started. According to police in Zanzibar and accounts from Ashlee's own mother, the couple had been quarreling frequently throughout the trip. Not just once. Not just a small disagreement. Frequently. And on the night of April 8th, it escalated to the point where hotel management stepped in. They separated Joe McCann and Ashlee Jenae and moved them into different rooms. Joe was placed in a villa that was approximately a 10-minute walk away from where Ashlee was staying. 10 minutes. That distance is going to matter. Remember it. A few hours after being separated, a hotel worker found Ashlee Robinson unconscious inside her villa. She was in a closet. There was a belt around her neck. She was rushed to a local hospital. And on April 9th, 2026, Ashlee Jenae was confirmed dead. Some reports place her official death on April 10th after she held on at the hospital for a brief and devastating window of time. This is where the story gets serious, and I mean that with every fiber of my being. Now let's talk about the call, because the call that Ashlee's mother Yolanda Endres received from Joe McCann is one of the most disturbing details in this entire case. And it is a detail that her father Harry Robinson has made sure the entire world knows about. When something happens to your loved one in a foreign country, the clock starts ticking the moment it happens. Every hour matters. Every update matters. Yolanda Endres, Ashlee's mother, says she received a call from Joe McCann telling her that Ashlee was in the hospital. But here is what shook the family to their foundation. She asked him when it happened, and Joe McCann told her that the incident had occurred 11 hours before he was calling her. 11 hours. Let that sit with you for a moment. Your fiancée is found unconscious with a belt around her neck, and you wait 11 hours to call her mother. 11 hours. And when you finally do call, you describe it as if she is okay. You tell her mother she was stable. Yolanda says Joe told her Ashlee did something to herself and that she was being taken to the hospital and that she was stable. But Ashlee was not stable. Ashlee was dying. And it does not end there. After that call, communication from Joe McCann to Ashlee's family essentially stopped. The next update the family received about their daughter's death did not come from the man who was supposed to love her. It came from the hotel. The hotel called to tell them that Ashlee Robinson was gone. Harry Robinson, Ashlee's father, spoke about this publicly, and his words are heartbreaking. He said, "The fiancé did not reach out to us at all. We found out from the hotel. That's devastating when your daughter's halfway around the world. We just wanted to know where she was at, who she was with, and that she was okay. Just give us something. Just give us something." I want you to share this video right now because that quote deserves to echo everywhere. A father begging for information about his own child from the man who was with her. Share it. Post it. Because the more eyes on this case, the closer we get to the truth. Now here is where the story of Harry Robinson's fight begins. And I want you to understand something. This is not a man who sat home and cried and waited for the phone to ring. This is a father who took action in the face of bureaucratic walls, international silence, and a system that was thousands of miles away from his front door. When Tanzanian authorities went quiet, when the results of the autopsy were not being shared, when the body of his daughter was being held in a foreign country, Harry Robinson got on a plane to Washington, D.C. He walked into meetings with U.S. government officials. He pressed them. He demanded that America use its reach and its resources to get in contact with Tanzanian authorities. He was not going to be ignored, and that effort paid off. Officials were able to make contact with Tanzania. The family was informed that the autopsy on Ashlee Jenae had been completed on Tuesday, April 15th. It was done. The answers were there. The truth about how Ashlee died was sitting in a report somewhere in Tanzania. But the family still did not have the results. Think about that. The autopsy is done. The answers exist. And the family is being told only that the investigation remains ongoing. That they need to wait. That they need to be patient. Harry Robinson described it as agonizing limbo. And I think that is the most accurate description I have ever heard for what this family is enduring. But here is where it gets even more complex. And this is the part that I need you to really focus on, because there is a local Tanzanian report that was obtained earlier in this investigation. A report that listed Ashlee Jenae's immediate cause of death as cerebral hypoxia due to strangulation and suffocation. Strangulation and suffocation. Now, before we go any further, I want to be clear. These findings have not been independently verified. The official autopsy results have not been publicly released. But I want you to hold on to those words. Strangulation and suffocation. Because the Tanzanian police, in their initial statements, have been suggesting that Ashlee's death was a suicide. They were pointing to the belt. They were pointing to what they called a suicide by hanging. But cerebral hypoxia due to strangulation and suffocation is a different narrative. And it is a narrative that Ashlee's family has been saying all along. Ashlee's family has firmly and publicly rejected the suicide theory from day one. They told TMZ she was a beacon of light. They described her as someone who showed zero signs of wanting to harm herself. Her mother said she appeared happy in the days leading up to her death. Her father said nothing about it makes sense. It just doesn't add up. And the family is now fighting on two fronts. They have commissioned their own independent autopsy. That means they are not waiting for Tanzania to give them the truth. They went out and found their own medical experts. They are getting their own answers. And while those independent results are still pending, the fact that this family had to go that route speaks volumes about the level of trust they have in the official investigation. Stay with me, because we are not done. Now let's talk about Joe McCann's passport, because this detail is something that people have not been paying enough attention to. When the Tanzanian police held a news conference on April 14th, they confirmed that Joe McCann's passport had been seized. They were not letting him leave Tanzania until the autopsy results were complete. Now officially, police have said he is being treated as a witness. No arrests have been made. He is not officially a suspect. But you do not seize someone's passport as a witness. You seize a passport when you are not sure you want that person leaving the country. And that is a significant distinction. Joe McCann, a 45-year-old crypto millionaire from Miami, has not made any public statement about what happened to Ashlee. He has not spoken to the media. He has not released a statement. On his X account, which has over 100,000 followers, he was posting about an AI success story on the morning of April 8th. Just hours before, he says he discovered his fiancée unconscious. Just hours. And here is something that has sent a chill through everyone following this case. Joe McCann's X profile includes a pinned quote that he has been publicly proud of. A quote attributed to notorious pimp Iceberg Slim. It reads, "Only a fool trips on what's behind them." Users online have not let that go unnoticed. His replies section has been flooded with people asking him to explain what happened to Ashlee. People are not satisfied with silence. The family says they have heard little to nothing from Joe McCann since that initial hospital call. Since Ashlee died, the man who put a ring on her finger has been essentially absent from every conversation the family is trying to have. That silence is deafening. What does a man with no guilt have to say? Everything. He says everything. He picks up the phone. He reaches out. He stands by the people who love the woman he claims to have loved. He doesn't go quiet. So why is Joe McCann so quiet? Let's talk about the hotel. Because the Zanzibar is a luxury resort. The kind of place with high-resolution cameras at every corner. The kind of place where every movement is recorded for security purposes. And Ashlee's family has been requesting surveillance footage from that hotel from the very beginning of this investigation. They want the tapes. They want to see what happened in those final hours. They want to see the timeline play out in real time. Harry Robinson made it plain when he said, "There's cameras everywhere at a resort, and that will match the timeline. Just do the investigation and let us know." So far, the family has not confirmed that they have received that footage. Think about that. A woman is found unconscious with a belt around her neck in a luxury resort with cameras everywhere. And her family is still trying to get their hands on the surveillance footage. That is not justice. That is obstruction of grief. And there is one more devastating detail about this case that broke hearts across social media when it came out. Ashlee's body was eventually returned to her family in New Jersey. After the fight, after the Washington, D.C. trip, after weeks of international diplomacy and heartbreak, her body came home. But her engagement ring did not come with it. Her personal belongings, including the ring that Joe McCann put on her finger just days before she died, are still unaccounted for. Harry Robinson told reporters he does not know when or if those items will ever be returned. The family believes they may still be held by investigators as part of the active investigation. But they also have no confirmation, no timeline, no answers. A woman's body comes home without her ring. The symbol of the future she was supposed to have. The future that ended in a closet in Zanzibar with a belt around her neck. If that doesn't break your heart, I don't know what will. Now let's talk about the public reaction. Because the internet has not been sleeping on this case. Social media has erupted. Black Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, every platform. People are demanding answers. People are calling out Joe McCann by name. People are sharing Ashlee's final posts, the photo of her feeding the giraffe, the video of the safari proposal, and placing them next to the timeline of her death. The contrast is devastating. 4 days between Chapter 31 and I'm exactly where I need to be, and a hotel worker finding her unresponsive in a closet. 4 days. The GoFundMe that the family launched to help cover travel expenses and legal costs raised approximately $42,000 in a matter of days. Strangers from across the country pouring money into a fund to help bring Ashlee home and find out what happened to her. That is the kind of mobilization that happens when people feel that justice is not being served. When people feel like a young black woman's life is not being treated as the priority it deserves to be. And there are people online who are pointing out something that is impossible to ignore. There are those who say that weeks before this trip, a fan had reportedly warned Ashlee about Joe McCann. That detail is still being investigated and verified by multiple outlets. But if true, it raises a question that will haunt this case forever. What did people see that Ashlee did not? This changes everything when we think about the larger picture of what was happening in that relationship leading up to Tanzania. Let's bring it back to Harry Robinson, because at the center of every update in this case is a father who simply will not stop. A father who will not let his daughter's name become a cold case. A father who will not let international borders and bureaucratic delays and a fiancé's silence be the final word on what happened to his little girl. Harry Robinson went to Washington, D.C. when no one was listening. He got the U.S. government to make contact with Tanzania when doors seemed closed. He is working with the family toward possibly traveling directly to Zanzibar to meet with officials face-to-face. He is speaking to the media. He is keeping his daughter's name alive in the public conversation. He is doing everything a father should do. And the autopsy his family commissioned independently is still pending. When those results come in, they could either align with what the Tanzanian report suggested, or they could contradict it entirely. They could confirm strangulation and suffocation, or they could tell a completely different story. Either way, Harry Robinson will be there to hear it, and he will not be quiet about what he learns. The family has released a statement that says they are working closely with officials and seeking clarity and answers. But they also made clear that they have many questions. Many. And they are not going away until every single one of those questions is answered. Now I want to take a moment and ask you something directly, because I think this is important. If you were Harry Robinson, what would you do? If your child was on the other side of the world? If the man she was with waited 11 hours to call you? If authorities told you the autopsy was done but would not give you the results? If her body came home but her ring did not? If the person who was with her in her final hours had gone completely silent? What would you do? I think most of us already know the answer. We would fight. We would not stop. We would not rest until we knew the truth. And that is exactly what Harry Robinson is doing. Every single day. Drop a comment right now and tell me what you think happened in that villa on April 8th. Tell me what you think about the 11-hour gap. Tell me what you think about the silence. I read every comment on this channel, and this case deserves your voice. Here is what we know with certainty as of today. Ashlee Jenae, whose real name was Ashlee Robinson, was 31 years old, a content creator from New Jersey, and was on a birthday trip to Zanzibar when she died. She had just gotten engaged. She appeared happy to everyone who knew her. She called her mother on April 8th to say she and Joe McCann had gotten into an argument and been placed in separate rooms. 11 hours later, McCann called her mother with limited information. The family then received the worst phone call of their lives from the hotel. A Tanzanian autopsy was completed on April 15th, but the results have not been released to the family. A local Tanzanian report listed the cause of death as cerebral hypoxia due to strangulation and suffocation, though this has not been officially confirmed. The family has commissioned an independent autopsy with results still pending. McCann's passport was seized. The family has not received surveillance footage. Ashlee's body was returned without her belongings, including her engagement ring. And the investigation remains officially active and ongoing. That is the landscape of this case as of today. And it is a landscape filled with more questions than answers. There is one more thing I need to say before we close this out. And I say it not to sensationalize, but because it matters. Ashlee Jenae was a black woman. A young black woman who died in a foreign country in suspicious circumstances. And from the very beginning, her family has had to fight harder than any family should have to fight just to get basic information. They had to travel to Washington, D.C. They had to go to the media. They had to start a GoFundMe. They had to commission their own autopsy. They have had to do all of this while grieving, while burying their child, while planning a memorial. That should not be how it works. That is not what justice looks like. And the fact that thousands of people are now watching this case, sharing her story, demanding answers, that matters. Because visibility creates accountability. Keep sharing. Keep talking. Keep saying her name. As we close today's video, I want to leave you with this. Ashlee Jenae posted her final words to the world on April 5th, 2026. She said she was exactly where she needed to be, She was happy. She was surrounded by beauty. She was in love with the idea of a future that stretched out before her like the African plains she was exploring. 4 days later, she was gone. Her father stood up in the face of international silence and said no. He said, "My daughter's life is worth fighting for." He said, "I will go to Washington, D.C. He said, "I will fly to Zanzibar if I have to." He said, "Just give us something." And now the world is watching. And now the pressure is building. And now the autopsy results, both the Tanzanian report and the independent one commissioned by the family, are coming. And when they do, this story will enter a new chapter. A chapter that could change everything. The case is still open. The investigation is still ongoing. The truth is still somewhere out there between a luxury resort in Zanzibar, a 45-year-old man's silence, and a father's unbreakable love for his daughter. We will be here when those results drop. We will be here for every update. We will not let this case go cold. If you are new to this channel, hit that subscribe button right now, because we cover every development in cases like this the moment they break. Share this video with someone who needs to know Ashlee's story. Post it. Send it. Because every share is a demand for justice. And before you go, do one thing for me. Say her name. Ashlee Jenae. Ashlee Robinson. Say her name.